Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope you're having a lovely day. Thanks so much for joining me. Well, today we're making a card in 5 easy steps and we are using some Altenew products. A few of them are brand new and Altenew sent them to me to share with you. And we're going to make a fun project using them, and they also sent me a coupon code. So if you enter the coupon code that I have listed down below or over on my blog, you could get a free bottle of the Altenew glue. It's called The Glue, and I have never tried it. I have to say that. I've never tried Altenew's glue, but if you wanted to give it a try, I think with a purchase of $79 or more, you can add that to your cart for free and give it a try if you wanted to. The items that I'm going to be using on my card today is a Joyful Garden 3D embossing folder, and then I'm also going to be using the coordinating Joyful Garden stencil set. And it's a 4-piece stencil set. Cardstock that I'm using is from Altenew, and it's called the Crafty Necessities, and it's a lighter weight cardstock. And so I thought we would give this a try. It looks like it has a little bit of a texture to it, but this one is called Sandy Blush. And then we're also going to be using the Sagestone, which is a really beautiful green. Okay, so let's go ahead and trim these down into some quarter panels, and we'll jump in with our first step and create our focal image. To create my focal point, we're going to be doing a little stenciling. So I have the 4-piece stencil set, the Joyful Garden, and I'm going to start off with stencil number 1. I have an A2 panel here, and I'm going to stencil the flowers first. I'm going to use 2 different colors of ink. I have Simon Says Stamp's Shell, and I have Rhubarb. We're going to go light and dark with these colors. Okay, I'm going to start off with the lightest shell ink, and I'm going to go over all my flowers. You really don't need to go over all of your flowers because I'm only going to be using these 2 main ones here. So those are the ones I'm really going to be focusing on, the whole flowers. After we have Shell, which is a real pretty corally color, I'm going to go in with the pink ink. And this is Simon's Rhubarb. And I'm going to do a little highlighting on the edges, adding some real pretty pink tones. Now we're going to skip over stencil number 2 because that's basically leaves. And I'm going to jump into stencil number 3. And we'll go ahead and add this. And this is the flower centers. And again, I'm just focusing on these 2 flowers. I'm using my Simon Says Stamp Woodsy ink. And we're just going to add some dark brown to the flower centers here. We'll wipe this off. And then those are our flowers. Now I'm going to take this panel and we're going to emboss it. So I'm going to bring in our Joyful Garden embossing folder. And I'm just going to line this up here. I'm going to run this through my die cut machine, and we're going to have some beautiful embossed detail on our focal point. Okay, let's take a look. Lovely. Okay, I'm going to use my scissors, and I'm going to fussy cut out my flowers. I love doing this because it adds dimension, and then with the embossed detail you have even more dimension. I'm going to leave a little bit of a border here. It's going to be beautiful. And there we go. We have 2 really pretty florals for our focal image. I'm going to put these to the side, and now we're going to work on step number 2 and create our home panel. My home panel today is going to be using a border die. We're going to be using the Altenew Rippling Rings border die. This is not a new die set. It's been in the shop for a little while. When I die cut this out, I used the larger piece of cardstock, and I noticed that the top and the bottom stay in. So if you want an A2 panel, these will cut out of it. And you want to keep those extra pieces because this is an incomplete circle set, so you'll have to inlay these circles. But I'm not going to do this vertically. I'm going to use this horizontally, so I don't need these little extra pieces, but I did want to mention that. I'm actually going to take this and layer this on a 1.5 inch strip by 5.5 inches of Altenew's Crafty Necessities cardstock. This is the 90 pound weight cardstock, and it is on the lighter side. Lighter weight side. Let me show you. So I think this is great for die cutting. I'm going to take this, I'm going to glue it to the strip so we have a nice little backing. Once we have this tacked down, I'm going to bring in some of my Altenew Dazzling Diamond glitter cardstock. This is probably one of my favorite glitter cardstocks. And I trimmed down a couple thin strips just so I could stretch it. And I'm going to add it behind the edge, the top and bottom edge of my glitter cardstock. I'll use my tape runner here. So we'll just add some adhesive. And then we can add a nice little shiny border. But I'm just going to take away these little extra pieces. And this will be my home panel. Okay, we'll put this with our focal image, and now we're going to move along to step number 3 and create our greeting. For my greeting, I'm bringing in an Altenew die set called XOXO and More. I thought we would die cut out the XO. Since Valentine's Day is just around the corner, I thought we would layer these two together. The XO we'll cut out with black cardstock, and then we'll layer this on top of a white shadow. I'll do that and I'll be right back. I went ahead and layered them both together. I didn't add any extra, but I did pop it up with foam tape. So that will be my greeting. Now we're going to move on to step number 4 and create our background. That's where we're going to bring back our stencil. I didn't even bother cleaning it off because I knew we were going to use it again. Let me bring my grip mat back. We're going to take a piece of white cardstock and add stencil layer number 1. I'm going to add a couple extra pieces of tape because my grip mat is losing its tackiness. But we're going to use the same colors we did for our focal image, starting off with the shell. This time we're going to go over the entire background. We're going to highlight those larger flowers with a little bit of rhubarb. Go ahead and wipe this one off. And now we're going to add stencil number 2. For the first set of leaves, I'm using a light green ink. This is Simon Says Stamp's Cabbage. And then we're going to add a little color. Lovely. I'm also going to bring in my artichoke ink, and we're going to do a little bit of darker highlighting along the edges, just so these pop a little bit. And we'll add our stencil number 3. Stencil 3 has some larger leaves. I'm going to go back with my cabbage ink, which is the lighter green. And I'm going to add a little, we'll go over these leaves. This one also has the flower centers, and for the flower centers I'm going to use a brown ink. This is Simon Says Stamp's Woodsy, so I'm bringing in a smaller detail brush, and I'm going to add some dark flower centers to all of these little flowers here. And then while I have my brown ink out, I'm going to use my blending brush, and I'm going to add a little bit of brown to the edges of these leaves. can actually pick up the ink that's on here and go over it a little bit. Just a little brown highlight. Kind of dulls it down and gives it a totally different color. So we'll wipe this off, and then we'll go ahead and add our final stencil, which is stencil number 4. I'm going to use artichoke ink for this one. I'm going to use my darker green ink for this layer. This layer goes over the leaves. It's a detail layer. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of brown to this layer too. I'm going to bring back my brown, and I'm going to add some darker highlights here, just so it tones it down a little bit. Okay, we'll wipe this one off, and then we can take a look at our background. How pretty is this? It's just gorgeous. I'm going to go ahead and trim off the top portion of this panel. I'm going to take about 1 inch off. And then I have a piece of the Altenew Crafty Necessities cardstock. This is Sagestone. It's a real pretty soft gray. It is a lighter weight cardstock, but I just think the color is gorgeous. So we're going to use this. I'm going to add this to the top, and then we'll layer this one here right below it. Technically this is upside down. Let me show you. If you add this, you can see the flowers upside down, but I wanted the larger leaf on the bottom, and so we're going to add a little extra greenery to the top here. Just going to trim off what's overhanging. And then now I'm going to take my home panel. We're going to trim away anything that's overhanging. And then we're going to take our focal image, and I'm going to add it here. And you know, on this piece we have the leftover leaf. I'm going to actually take this and add this underneath one of the flowers too. If you wanted to, you could use the embossing folder and emboss that bottom panel, but I think it would take away from my focal image, so I didn't do that, but you very well could do that. Okay, now we're going to move on to step number 5, which means it's time to embellish. I'm going to embellish my card today with the Altenew Chasing Shadows enamel dots. They've got some little hearts here, some stars, and then different size enamel dots. I really liked, I think the lightest color in this set are going to go really well with Sagestone, so we're going to add a few of these. Since we have the Dazzling Silver Glitter cardstock, I really wanted to doctor up my flower centers here. So I'm bringing in some gems, and we are going to add a little cluster of gems in the center of these flowers. We're going to go ahead and add our greeting right down here on the bottom. Lastly, I'm going to use a fine tip Sharpie, and I'm going to add a few extra dots in the flower center. Since my greeting is black, I like to do this. Kind of spreads out the color a little bit. And that finishes off my card today. Those little dots pack a lot of punch. Again, if you want to use the coupon code, I'll list it down below and over on my blog. And the details for that too, I'll list over on my blog. But thanks so much for joining me. Oh, one more thing before I go. If you do open up your stencil set, there's a brochure. And then you get a little bit of inspiration and color guides, which is really handy. And it tells you how you could layer up the stencil. So the brochures inside the stencil set are really nice. Just wanted to mention that. But have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for joining me. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for sticking with me to the end. I have 2 more videos that you guys might be interested here. If you guys are new and like the content that you see, click that subscribe button and also the notification bell. That way for future videos, be notified. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It sure does help the channel. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.